So you know what I'm going to be talking about tonight. This weekend I wasn't feeling so hot. Our son came to stay with us about a week or so ago and had a cold, and I treated him. I mean, we just hit him with all kinds of things. He was even taking vitamin C, and I'm not a real proponent necessarily of vitamin C, but he took that too, and we did a lot of stuff. We all homeopathy and then some vitamin C and lots of bone stock and all. And he was over it, and I thought it was a day and a half. He said, "No, Mom, it was 2 days." So from that, my husband got sick. He got a cough, and his cough was pretty nagging. Not a very nice cough at all. He was wasn't quite choking from it, but it was really nagging, and it was not, he felt it in his chest later on, but mostly it was up in here. So first, before we even get into all the details and how I went about treating us and how I'm still treating us, I just want to read something to you. And I know that everybody's online, and I might also add that now with all these lockdowns, we don't know how well this is going to go tonight in terms of the ability of the internet to be able to carry us through the whole thing. So I'm going to try to talk quickly and get this done so we get as much information out there as possible. But I just wanted to read this, that according to the latest data of the Italian National Health Institute, ISS, the average age of the positively tested deceased in Italy is currently about 81 years old. 10% of the deceased are over 90 years old. 90% of the deceased are over 70 years old. 80% of the deceased had suffered from 2 or more chronic diseases. 50% of the deceased had suffered from 3 or more chronic diseases. And the chronic diseases included cancer, diabetes, respiratory problems, cardiovascular problems. So less than 1% of the deceased were healthy people. For example, people without pre-existing chronic diseases. Only about 25% of the deceased are women. Kind of an interesting set of circumstances, wouldn't you say? So the partial overloading of the hospitals is due to the general rush of patients and the increased number of patients inquiring special or intensive care. In particular, the aim is to stabilize respiratory function and in severe cases to provide antiviral therapies. So, you know, I'm not selling anything tonight except homeopathy. I'm not profiting by it. This is important that we share information. And I've been watching my colleagues and listening to my colleagues from all over the world and getting kind of a feel for what they think, who has treated this. Is there a genus epidemicus? And for those of you who are new to homeopathy, genus epidemicus is the medicine, the one homeopathic medicine that covers many, many, many people. Not all people, but many people. For example, Gelsemium was the general genus epidemicus in the the Spanish flu of 1918. And the homeopaths really cut the way through. The homeopaths were extremely successful with their use of Gelsemium worldwide. So we don't know what the genus epidemicus is. We can take guesses as to what could be the medicine that could be the most valuable. So this is the way that I'm laying out, because this is the way it happened to my husband. I don't know whether or not we even had that. Did we have corona? Do we have corona? I don't really know. But I will tell you, we have a lot of the symptoms, and my son did not, but we did. So I believe that we have to look at this in stages. And so the first stage, because you don't know what you're getting. When you first get sick and you say, "Uh-oh, I don't feel so well," I automatically think of a couple of different medicines. Now, my assistant, Natalie, is going to be writing these remedies down for you. She's going to post them up here now, so that for those of you who are new and aren't familiar with the names of the medicines, you will be able to look at them. But the first stage, I automatically think, for years, 30 years, 35 years using homeopathy, I always thought of Aconitum. Aconitum nepalis first. And I always like to use that in a 200 potency. But having worked with the Banerjis, they used Aconitum. I talk about this on my blog, so you can find it there should you be interested in going deeper. Aconitum 200 mixed with Bryonia 30. And how do you mix them if you don't have them already pre-mixed? Then you put the Aconitum in your mouth, hold it in your mouth, close that up, put the Bryonia in your mouth, put that in your mouth, and then kind of suck on them and chew them at the same time. So that's what we did. We used Aconitum, nepalis mixed with Bryonia, and I happened to be out of my combination that was pre-mixed. So we did exactly as I just said. We got the Aconitum, put it in our mouths, put the Bryonia in our mouth, mixed them up, and took that. And we did that about every 3 hours for the first day, and it made a huge difference. We both started to not feel so sick. I felt to me like I wasn't sick at all. This was about, I don't know, 4 days ago maybe. I think 4 days ago. And at that time, I wasn't sure what we had, but it certainly felt like a cold. So I went to my next best, or maybe not next best, but one of the medicines I always think of, and that is Coldcalm. Coldcalm. It's a combination medicine, so that's the name of the product, not a name of a remedy. It's manufactured by Boiron, Boiron. And I just have a lot of it on hand. So we started taking that. That helped me. It did not help my husband. That helped me a great deal. Anytime I started to feel like I had a little fatigue, it just took it away, and I was back in the saddle. Meanwhile, because the Banerjis often use Thuja, Thuja, occidentalis is the second word, but Thuja is good enough. The J is silent. Thuja, 30 for viruses. We had started taking Thuja from day one, twice a day. Just in case, because it was a virus, and why not? And we weren't taking that many because we used Aconitum Bryonia for those first couple of days, and Thuja 30 twice a day. Then we also used Coldcalm. We stopped taking Aconitum Bryonia because it seemed as though it wasn't helping any longer. That's why we switched, by the way. You ought to know that. We switched out of Aconitum Bryonia to Coldcalm because Aconitum Bryonia didn't seem to be aiding us in any way. So we went to Coldcalm and stayed with Thuja 30 twice a day. Now, my husband got a cough. I never got the cough, but he got a cough that was very, let's see, how do I describe it? It wasn't barking. It seemed dry. To me, it sounded like it was sinuses draining down, nasal drip. So I think we used Sanguinaria in there. I don't think it did any good. The coughing was kind of spasmodic. And it was dry, as I said. So we used Cuprum. I used Cuprum Metallicum, 30. It helped. And he was able to sleep the first night, or the second night when the cough started to really develop. And he was able to sleep that night because the night prior to that, he was up a good amount of the night coughing. He had to sleep sitting up. So that's what also made me believe that it had to do with drainage. That when he laid down, drainage would collect, and it would force him to cough. It helped a little bit. And I don't know if you can hear him off in the background. He coughs every once in a while, but it's so much better, so much different. Then that Cuprum stopped acting. And what I mean by that, how did we know? How did we know any of these stopped acting? Well, for specifically for Cuprum, it stopped acting. The way we knew it stopped acting is because he was coughing in spite of taking it. He wasn't getting any relief. Normally you get some relief, a couple of hours at least. That was not happening any longer. And he'd taken that for another day or so. And that's when I said, okay, nix the Cuprum. Now let's go to, and I'll tell you why we use this. Ipecac. Ipecac 30. Great medicine for nagging, gagging coughs. Now, it wasn't gagging him, but it was nagging. It was actually driving me nuts, too, because he was constantly coughing. And that's what did it. I'm not saying, I said, you can hear him coughing perhaps in the background, but it's only once in a while. I would say he coughs, cough, cough, and then we don't hear anything for, I don't know, an hour. But before it was cough, 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 cough. I mean, it was every few minutes. It was horrible. He couldn't sleep. It was hard for him to concentrate, etc. So what took care of that was Ipecac 30. Now, if you want to learn more about that, go to my blog. And I talk about nag and gag, the cough that nags and gags. Now, it was not gagging him, but it was nagging. And as I said, it was nagging me too. So Ipecac has been great for my husband. So he's been taking that for about 3 days now, and it has done a lot of good. But one other medicine has done a lot of good, and that was Antimonium tart. 2 words, Antimonium tartaricum, or Antimonium tart. We used it in a 200 potency, and the reason I went to Antimonium tart is because I could feel it in my chest. I felt fatigue in my chest, and I might add parenthetically another great medicine for when you fatigue in the chest and there's a lung thing going on is Stannum metallicum. There are others too. There's Seneca. There are lots of others, phosphorus, but especially Stannum metallicum and Antimonium tart. But in this case, we used Antimonium tart. Now, why did I choose that one? I've got my Materia Medica here. For those of you who are new, here is my Materia Medica, should you be interested. If you're not interested, that's fine too, because I'll be teaching you this way. So, Antimonium tart, I say, shortness of breath, coughing, and gasping for air, as in whooping cough. Now, I've had whooping cough. I got it in India. And I did not end up using Antimonium tart. I ended up using Cuprum, interestingly, but nonetheless, it could be used for that. It is helpful for all sorts of respiratory infections, such as influenza, bronchitis, and pneumonia. Now, I don't know. Do we have influenza? Do we have a cold? Do we have corona? We don't really know, and we're not about to go get it tested. The prime indicated for the use of Antimonium tart is a hacking cough. That is what my husband had. But despite all the hacking, the person is unable to bring up any mucus. It never sounded liquidy in his chest. Lately, it sounds a little more liquidy, which is a good thing. There's a rattling around in the chest, yet little or no expectoration. And he will need to sit up to breathe or cough. And as you'd expect, the person is utterly exhausted. Now, he was not utterly exhausted. He was a little tired. I was utterly exhausted. And I could feel something going on. As I said, I never got the cough. But what Antimonium tart did for both of us was downright remarkable. Now, how long will Antimonium tart work for us? I don't know. We'll see. Because as you see, there are stages. I'm looking over here at what we've used. There have been stages of this illness, as there often are. So if you've had it for a week already, you might be in stage 3 or 4, and you start right away into Antimonium tart. If instead you're feeling just a little tickle, or you're feeling like, uh-oh, I'm getting hit, you would start more like with stage 1 of the remedies from stage 1. Antimonium tart is indicated when the sufferer is worse from warmth, despite feeling cold most of the time. His symptoms are typically worse at night, particularly around 4 a.m. That was my husband. He was coughing and feeling pretty sick at that time. Now, he stayed with Ipecac. So he's now taking Ipecac and Antimonium tart. And I think he's also stayed with Thuja. I am, on the other hand, am using Thuja 30 twice a day. There you go. You could hear it a little bit, him coughing off in the distance. And I'm staying with Antimonium tart and Thuja. And that's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm drinking bone stock, and I will take a sip right now. And I urge you, don't get too close to me, because I've had a ton of raw garlic today. Because I love raw garlic. It's my excuse to be able to eat it. And that what I've said in my book is that Antimonium tart every 6 hours was really great for my mother when she had what was never diagnosed as pneumonia, but it certainly seemed like either bronchitis or pneumonia many years ago. And Antimonium tart brought her completely around. And a big part of Antimonium tart is the fatigue and the weakness, which is what led me to this. So when I wrote my blog last night, actually it didn't get published till today, that I was sick and that I wasn't feeling well enough to finish the blog and get it up and running. That was the reason, because I was fatigued. By the way, I'd said in my blog, I'm sick, so I'm not writing a real article for this blog today. And I have a wonderful, huge family, lots of cousins. And so it went around to the cousins that maybe I was in the hospital, and I got a phone call and from my dear cousins, and it was really nice for them to be concerned about me. But no, I'm not in the hospital. And actually I personally would stay away from the hospital at almost any cost. I'm not telling you that you should do that. Please don't get me wrong, because for those of you who would feel more comfortable going to the hospital or the doctor that you love, and trust, then by all means. But I don't feel that way, so it would take an awful lot for me to get to the hospital. So it was Antimonium Tart 200. Now, what I've been doing is taking it every 6 hours. And so is my husband. And it's funny because I actually forget about it. I start feeling well. I forget to take it. And the reason I take it is because I'm reminded because the symptoms return. What are the symptoms? Fatigue. And I feel compromised in my chest, etc. So that's the way I have put this together. I never took Arsenicum album. I know I talked about that here. But I didn't take Arsenicum album because I did not have chills. I was not thirsty. I was not frightened. I did not have anxiety. I mean, that's not really the way we do this. We don't look for all the things that are not. We don't have to go through every single keynote. But there just wasn't anything Arsenicum about me, nor my husband. We didn't have any nausea. We didn't have any diarrhea. There were no gut issues at all. We were not. We were fatigued. I will admit that Arsenicum may have helped with the fatigue, but the fatigue for both of us was very specifically situated in the lungs. So let's just see what folks are saying. I love Ipecac. The description of it. Yep. Hello, this education is so critical. You bet. Absolutely. You bet this is critical. This work that I'm doing, that you're doing, that we're all doing, and getting this out to everyone and learning how to do this is to help humanity. If we do anything on this earth, we have to leave knowing we've done whatever we can to help humanity. There's so much negativity in the world. We need to be the bright light. And if we can be the bright light through homeopathy, that's the way to go. So I used Ipecac and Antimonium Tart for a horrible cough that was so bad I would vomit just a few weeks ago. It really worked and was the only way I could get relief after what I was guessing was the flu. Yep, you bet. Very good, Nicole. Yes, I woke up last night with that fatigue and heaviness in my chest and immediately took Antimonium Tart. It works for me so well. So if you folks know what to do, you make me happy. I had cough a few weeks ago, says Chelsea, but wasn't tired. Antimonium tart healed within a few days. Awesome. Antimonium Tart, like Ant Tart. So let's see what else. I'm watching. Okay, you are. Okay, many blessings. Would you see Kelly Carb? Good point, Carrie. Kelly Carb, I've not talked about that. And that Kelly Carb is about pneumonia. There's no doubt about it. And I would use it in a 200C, and I would consider using it twice daily. But it didn't show up for us quite because Antimonium Tart fit us that fatigue so much. But Kelly, Kali, Carb, Kalium Carbonicum, Kelly Carb 200, owned these medicines, folks. Buy them, own them. From Boiron, online, from Amazon. If you buy from Amazon, if you don't buy directly from Boiron, that's even better. Buy from Washington. I go through this frequently. Hahnemann Pharmacy in California. Order from, some people are ordering from A to Z Homeopathy. I don't know much about them. I've talked about them before, but I really have not really investigated too much. Helios in England online, and they're actually pretty fast. Okay, 1 dose of Antimonium Tart 6. It worked right away, and I stopped coughing. You bet. So 6 is good too, but I have to tell you that raw garlic antidote remedies. No, I've never seen that happen. I know some people think that. I just have never seen that. God forbid. I love it. So, that would be horrible. But potency matters. And in this case, I'm delighted that the 6 worked for you, and it may work for many others, but I always use Antimonium Tart in a 200. Okay, get well soon. Actually, I'm feeling pretty well. But I will tell you that it's, did you have a funny feeling in your nose? No, I didn't have that. Roasted garlic. Yeah, roasted, but I like it raw. Any fevers? No, we did not have fevers. It felt like I was going into a fever, but then, what did I take then? That's around the time I started taking Cold Calm, and I never developed a fever. Was it the Cold Calm? Well, we don't know for sure. Let's see. A homeopath in Connecticut said he received a suggestion from another homeopath as to possible genus epidemicus, and it's moving too quickly. I can't read it. It's scrolling down so quickly. Petasites Tusalago. He advised the remedy is not, wait a minute, hold on, is not currently I don't know. I missed it because it's scrolling down. I'll see if I can scroll back up again. Okay. We can make suggestions for what might be the genus epidemicus, but I don't think we have enough numbers quite yet. We need to see lots of people with this, lots and lots of people, and then we can establish. And it's happening. We're going to get it. We'll get this information. Did you hear anything about FDA's stand on homeopathy? Nothing new, but what is new is that there's been an extension, so that's a very good thing. It shows some positivity. So we don't know, because I know today, I don't know, I think, was it yesterday was the date? Maybe it was today. No, there's been, I believe, a 30, excuse me, a 30 or 60-day extension. You bet your work is offering a way to help me, my friends and family. Absolutely, Barbara. Absolutely. I know someone who had the same feeling as you in the chest and used lachesis. Lachesis is very good for the heart, and so it's great for cardiovascular as well as asthma. So it could be very useful for this as well. It certainly is a possibility. If that person had asthma, it's probably even a better fit. But it doesn't mean it can't be used if someone does not. You bet. Aconitum, nepalis 200 mix. Okay, Natalie is writing this out for us. And the Banerji protocol. She's writing it all out so you can check it out. I agree 100%. Homeopathy is hope for humanity. Homeopathy our medicine does very well in epidemics, pandemics. That's where we shine. It's where homeopathy's history has long been situated. And so it's something that's very fascinating. Maybe sometime we'll go into the history. I know people don't want history right now. I know you want answers right now. A lot of people have the common cold and common flu, now typical each year. Most don't even know the difference. Yep, that's true. Did you have? No, I did not have a fever. You're awesome in giving. So are you awesome in being part of this. I'm singing your praises. Antimonium tart knocked mine out in November. This virus has been here a while. Yeah, I think it comes and goes, or maybe it's the same one. Who knows? So glad to see you and hear you're feeling better. Thank you. Please clarify between antimonium tart versus stannum. Stannum. Let's see. Stannum, in my... Without really delving very deeply, I always think of a stannum as deep fatigue everywhere. The metals often have fatigue, and it's a metal, stannum metallicum. But and antimonium tart is a little bit more weight on the side of flu and bronchitis. That's why I think I came up with it. I could do probably better than that if I gave it some thought, but what I would urge you to do is to crack open your Materia Medica, whichever one you have, and read them both. And read the chest section, and then read all the other considerations, all the other areas of the body that it affects, and see if you can come up with those differences for yourself. Once you learn that, you won't forget it then. Okay. Let's see. I don't have antimonium tart 200. Would you take? I would take. Listen. Here's my thought on medicines, homeopathic medicines. Take what you have until you can get what you need. So always order what you need. Meanwhile, you don't want to lie there and suffer. Use what you've got. Okay. To keep out of a remedy, could I take aqueous solution? Yes, it could be an aqueous solution if you have no choice. But I always think that it's better to take the pills dry in the mouth if possible, unless it is a specific designed or specific protocol that is designed to take it in liquid. But if you think you're going to run out, absolutely. Do what it takes. Yes. Op-ed, does the 2019 exist? Coronavirus exist? I was sick 3 weeks ago. It's coughing stuff up. Mainly after eating, chest hurts in the evening after coughing. I'm not going to tell you what you should take, but these medicines have helped me. So you and my husband, you might want to take a look at them. Yes. How do you prepare my raw garlic? I chop it up in little bits and eat it with cheese. Just right in the mouth and chew it. I love it. Regina, that would be Gelsamium 30 can also be for fatigue if that's what you folks are talking about. Thank you. Do you stop taking remedies for chronic issues when you need several remedies to treat an acute case? Well, It depends. We always are looking for the hierarchy. This is what I teach in my courses. We're always, and even here, I want you to know this. We're always looking at the hierarchy. If you've got a little arthritis and a little hair loss and you've got a gobsmacking virus, then by all means, I would put the others aside for a little while and go for the virus. If, however, you've got severe arthritis and, oh my gosh, it's horrible, then I would take the medicines for that in addition to those for the acute situation. So we're always trying to balance it out. Alrighty? Were you worried about ordering and it'd be a knockoff? Or how would you tell? The problem, you're right, I worry about knockoffs on Amazon. I do. So that's why I always buy from Boiron, and I'm hoping that it's real. I mean, we don't know. That's why we're probably better off buying directly from Boiron, directly from Washington, directly from Hahnemann Pharmacy, directly from Helios. You're a little bit better off. And today I noticed when I went on Amazon, because I wanted to see how things were going, it looked pretty skimpy. I didn't see a lot of Boiron tubes there. Let's see. We can't get Cold Calm in Canada, for goodness sakes. Oh, for goodness sakes. Then look for, there's another product called Children's, oh, I've got it right here. Complete Cold and Flu by Highlands. It's right here. Complete Cold and Flu, because I thought about taking this. It's actually, this is a children's version, but it doesn't make any difference. It probably means they just didn't add this or that. So this is a good one too. Highlands Complete Cold and Flu. That's probably a good one too. I know Rajan Sankaran saying camphora is the remedy in 1M. Yeah, it's certainly a possibility. I would want to see chills, but yeah, I think it's... Listen, I'm open to my colleague's thoughts, and I think he had 9 cases from what I read. So I'm not saying that he's right or wrong, but yeah, give it a try if you think this is the method that what I wrote down here is what I used. And he may prove to be absolutely correct. We just don't want pearl-clutching panic. And that's what I love about homeopathy, is that the one thing it does is it frees us from the panic of all of the possibilities that we're going to die and this is going to last forever, etc., etc., etc. This puts it all, just brings us right down to common sense. Okay. Who was the homeopath who recommended arsenicum album 30 to prevent C virus? I've been taking it 1 dose every day, no changing to once a week. I had mentioned that is what the Indian government was discussing about 10 days or so ago. So I believe I may have mentioned it here. Would you be concerned getting this with sleep apnea? Would you be concerned getting this? Oh, if somebody had sleep apnea. I wouldn't worry about sleep apnea at this point. I would worry about the virus if you were sick. So it's a hierarchy. Okay, how can you tell the difference between anxiety, chest tightness, and sickness? Have slight fever, headache, chest is tight. Fever, headache, chest is tight, I would think this is an illness. I can't tell you, I can't diagnose for you, but you could also have anxiety that accompanies it. So I wouldn't say that this must be this or that. It could be a combination of both. You're welcome. I love you too. I hope you feel better soon. I actually feel pretty decent now. But it comes and goes. And it may come and go. I've used this Antimonium tart in the past for myself. I think it was last year I used it for a cold that I felt in my chest. So it's been good medicine for me. And if I stop taking it, it comes back again. If I take it again, it goes away. So it's been really good. Okay, it looks like coronavirus is in near future. In case of mandatory vax, do we have any imaginary homeopathic remedy to detox? Thanks. Yeah, I know there's inevitably they're going to have a vaccine for this. What we have to do is work on a community level and see what we can do to kind of offset that the best that we can. Are there stats on homeopathy with the high risk groups where most of all the deaths? No, not that I'm aware of. I don't think there are enough stats, period. I'm an ER physician assistant. I'm on the front lines. Should I do arsenicum 30? I can't tell you what you should do, but I would certainly own these medicines. And at the first sign, I would do exactly, I would consider doing exactly as I did, but I can't tell you what you should do. I can't diagnose for you and I can't recommend for you, but I can tell you what I've done. Yes. Oh, yeah, we're almost out of time. Actually, we are out of time. I'm supposed to be teaching a class right now. And for those of you who know nothing about my study groups, consider joining these study groups, ladies and gents. This is where you learn it even deeper. And so that's why I have to dash off. And so Bob's your uncle. There we go. We've got it all. And what you need is perspicacity. That is where I want you to have. Look that word up. Use your intelligence for an elegant way to prepare yourself and your families. And as far as I'm concerned, that all lies at the feet of homeopathy. And so with that, I say good night and see you next Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I'll give you an update. I'll tell you what happened after I took these medicines for a whole week. God bless all of you. Mwah. Stay well, everyone. Bye.